Hello friends, I'm Elizabeth Beelman and welcome back to Unearthing Shadows Light. Today I would like to talk about boundaries. Boundaries are things that we set to buffer between comfort zones, our own comfort zones. I was never clear with my own boundaries until this past year, and then I realized that my entire life shifted once I got really clear with what my boundaries were. But in order to do that, I needed to really sit with myself and figure out what was affecting me, what was draining my energy, why, and how to properly set the correct boundaries, even with people who disagree with the boundaries that you set, which is not your problem. But it's knowing that it's not your problem. Now, I'm a fixer at heart. If somebody comes to me with a problem, I initially want to just fix it. I just want to, if I have the ability to do so, I will fix it. But I have to also remember that a lot of times if people do come to me, sometimes they're just venting. They just need to get stuff off their chest, and it's really not in it for me to say what I think or feel. It's just allowing somebody to just be. And same with myself when I go and vent or whatever to somebody else. So number one, it's not taking things personally or allowing others to be mad and taking it on. If someone's upset with a boundary that you set, that's their issue. That's not your issue. You have clearly stated a boundary. I don't want to do this. Why? You don't even have to give reasons why. No is a complete sentence. No, thank you. No. No, thank you. Practice it with me. No. No, thank you. You don't have to exceed anything past no. That is your boundary. I was so used to explaining my life away. Well, I'm no because this, and this. Nobody needs to know why this, or that. People need to be okay with no. Complete sentence. You have to be very direct about your boundaries. I choose not to do this way. I don't want to go. No, thank you. Well, why? I don't want to go, no thank you. That's it. We don't need to give any more than that. We don't need to explain our lives away. That's not for others. That's you know why. That's all that matters. You don't have to anticipate others' needs. Oh, well, if I don't do this and this person's gonna be this way or that way, or they'll be mad at me. Let them be mad at you. That's their problem. That's not your problem. If what you are going to do or what you are doing is literally siphoning your energy and just, it doesn't feel good in your soul, and we know what those parts are when they don't feel good in our soul. You know, you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your heart, the tightness in your chest, the draining of energy. I mean, I'm notorious for making plans when I'm in a great mood, and then days later when the plans roll around and I'm not really feeling it, it was really hard for me to step up to the bat and be like, I don't feel like going out. Well, why not? Well, that's really none of your damn business. I don't feel like it. I'm drained. I know you don't even have to offer that. No, complete sentence. So anticipating others' needs, I was also notorious for that. You needed to do a certain thing this way or a person was gonna be upset or whatnot. Again, that's their problem. It's not yours. The most unhealthy people will, and I don't mean that derogatively, like I can be unhealthy in many shapes or forms, everybody can, but the most unhealthy people will protest the most about your boundaries. Well, they did this and they just didn't want to go, and and I was just left alone. Well, that person who is just left alone and is upset that you're not going and not really stating reasons, or is upset at the reason, if you gave one, that you gave them to them, that's their issue. Most of the time it's an abandonment issue, or people that don't follow through with what they say. But if you step into your power and continue to make clear, concise boundaries, it flows a lot easier. You can love someone, like if someone is unhealthy for you and you find that it's like too much in your energy and you need to take a break from that person, you can still love that person and be rooting for them on the sidelines, but you can do it from a distance. You can have compassion for people, but you can do it from a distance. You don't have to sacrifice your sanity and your energy for boundaries, or lack of boundaries. Like, we live through thought and emotion. That's not life. And I feel like a lot of times for me, in the first times of me really setting boundaries and stating clear boundaries, I needed to learn to not take things personally. If someone's gonna get mad at it, then let them be mad. I stated my boundary. I have no ill intentions. This is for me. It really comes down to being selfish. And being selfish can be selfless by you stating clear and concise boundaries. It is okay to not want to go hang out with that person who siphons your energy. It is okay to not want to go and hang around those toxic people that are just negative Nancy's and all they're doing is spewing shit, and you notice that there's a shift in energy and you don't want to be there anymore. The body is not you. The mind is not me. We are not this. We go so far beyond it. But in order to regulate our chakras, regulate our energies and our auric field, we need to be able to set clear and concise boundaries. No is a complete sentence. So that's my little tidbit for that. A really quick collective reading. I'm going to be using Caroline Meese archetype cards. They're amazing. I think I read these in my first video. I just want to get a collective for the shadow attributes and the light attributes, which is what these cards stand for and go into, because there's a dark and a light to every side, right? So we just need to be more concise and clear with our boundaries. So I'm asking for a collective reading to step in. I would like to know the themes of what we are dealing with in this collective. Again, this is timeless. When you find it is when you find it. It doesn't need to be, it's whenever it comes for you. 4 it is. And we will go with what is on the top. Okay, so let's see. So I have the first card is Warrior. Warrior, the light attributes are strength, skill, discipline, toughness of will, heroism, stoicism, and self-sacrifice in conquering the ego, which is what I've been talking about. The ego voice in your mind, the ego that steps in, tells you what you can and can't do, that you're not good enough, that you should be doing it this way, etc. And shadow attributes are trading ethical principles for victory at any cost, indifference to the suffering inflicted on others. So there's a difference between setting boundaries, right? Because this is going to tie right into it. The warrior, somebody who stands up for themselves and others, right? Who fights the good fight. Wouldn't that be all of us if we are in our light sides of things, is fighting the good fight and for good reason? be very aware of people that walk the shadow warrior path, where they pretty much sell themselves at any cost. They'll sell you at any cost. It doesn't matter. We want to be at the top with our strength, skill, and discipline, and battling the ego in our own minds, to then forth pull it out and battle it outward. That's what this war is. And if you all don't think that we're in World War III, World War III is spiritual this time around. It's learning how to tame this, how to be a warrior here and here of the utmost consistency, learning your own boundaries and understanding, be a warrior within yourself. The second card that I have is Mother. The light attributes are nurturance, patience, unconditional love, joy in giving birth to life. Shadow attributes are smothering or abandoning children, instilling guilt in children for becoming independent. When you choose to put like a guilt trip on somebody, do we ever stop to think and go inward that it's our problem? It's not what they did to us. It's whatever happened and what they did triggered something in us. So now we need to look deeper at what we're doing. So I feel like the Mother is coming through in a nurturing sense, but also for us to understand that there are shadow aspects to being that mothering energy. Knowing that it's not coming from a place of deceit or lower vibration, that your love is still up there. Now you can still love somebody unconditionally, but you don't have to take on if it's a toxic trait or behavior. You can unconditionally love the memory of them. You can unconditionally love somebody from a distance. If somebody's a murderer, you are not going to sit there and be alone with that person because they don't value life. But that doesn't mean that you can't have your own compassion towards somebody who's done very, very wrong things. In a sense, I mean, I know that we have our own laws and everything that are governed here, but it doesn't really matter if there are laws here. There are no right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. It's learning. It's always learning. So if you want to go kill somebody, you're going to learn to be in jail for the rest of your life. And that's what happens. I'm only using those examples because I feel like they really hit home. So that's like the heaviest portion of it. The third card that I have is Prince. It is, the light attributes is romantic charm and potential for power. And the shadow attribute is using power for self, like grandizement, whatever that word is, aggrandizement. And I'm assuming that it means, like using your power to get what you want, no matter what anybody else thinks, wants, desires. And then the last card that I have, the light attributes, is it's angel, and the light attributes is helping those in need with no expectation of return. And the shadow attributes are acting innocent or angelic to mislead others, falsely claiming to be in touch with angelic guidance. So people that come in and have it come from a place of lower vibration, being manipulative. So just to wrap it all together, we have fighting for what you stand for, standing in your truth. There are ways to be a peaceful warrior. Somebody triggers you and you state a boundary. No, please. Okay, for instance, my daughter. gosh, love her, my daughter. My daughter got in a fight at school this past year, and this girl came up and she was like in her face, and Mel literally was like, if you don't get out of my space, I'm going to push you out. And the girl kept harping on her and harping on her and harping on her, and she warned her, and then she pushed her. And to be honest with you, although I really don't condone that behavior, she's trying to make her way in this world. She's setting a boundary, and that person didn't listen. So, by way of a peaceful warrior, she set her boundary. They did not listen, so she put her strength in. And I feel like that's what's happening here. Like, we're being asked to fight for our rights, for our people, for our persons. And that's just not like everybody in this governmental structure. I'm talking about just in your life in general. You're being asked to stand up and fight for what you want. But it doesn't need to be this egoic thing. It can come from a place of peace and strength and understanding and boundaries. It's really having to do with boundaries. So fighting for what you want, allowing the being nurtured to come in, nurturing yourself, others, and not doing it for the shadow aspects, not laying guilt trips on people, places, or things because they didn't meet your needs. This is understanding other people's needs as well and loving them for where they're at. So often we have expectations for others, and when they don't meet our expectations, we get angry. But the reality is, you fell in love or was striving towards what you saw as their potential when all they're here. You know, you're seeing their potential, which is here, but they're here. So you need to be willing to meet them where they're at. And then Prince, I feel like a lot may be dealing with, love life in general. Understanding that romantic charm and that can bring its own power in. And also too, I can tie it right into like the media and the news. Like, they want to woo you and charm you with what's going on, and please pay attention to this and that. And then the shadow attribute is using the power for not good. So we just need to be very aware at where it's coming from when people are trying to woo you. Whether that be in a romantic relationship, regular relationship, it doesn't matter. If somebody's coming in trying to woo the pants off you, make sure that their intentions are clear and that your boundaries are set properly. And then the last part is angel. And it's being able to help others in need with nothing in return. We're not asking for anything in return. We're doing this out of the goodness of our own heart, of our own boundaries. We want to help, and then the people that come in and are helping for their own malicious intent in the backstage, normally those people end up coming to light. And I will show the bottom card at the bottom of the deck, which is gossip. And the light attributes are awakens consideration for the feelings of others and honoring trust. The shadow attributes are thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information and betraying confidences. I mean, it goes to Mean Girls. Like, how many people have been victimized by Regina George? Or how many people like to shed a juicy piece of gossip and not think so much about how it's going to affect the person that you're spreading it about. I mean, I've been on both ends of that in various ways, and I've come to the conclusion that nobody else is my responsibility but myself, and that includes you guys. Like, nobody else is your responsibility but yourself. And even if you have kids, you have to put yourself first. If you're on an airplane and the airplane's going down, they ask you to put that oxygen mask on. Always put your mask on first, so then you will be able to help others. There is nothing wrong with self-love, understanding, and boundaries for yourself in order to then in turn be able to help others in a steady, clear, and concise boundary. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much. I know it's wicked cliche. Every time I sign off, I say namaste. But for those of you who don't know, namaste means the light in me honors the light in you. Or the God or goddess in me honors the God and goddess in you. Or the beast in me honors the beast in you. It can go in various forms, but it's seeing the other person as a part of yourself, because again, we are all connected. So let's give love as best as we can to ourselves, to others. Just be kind and considerate to yourself. Set those boundaries, and remember, no is a complete sentence. Thank you so much.